What if I told you you could nearly double the power of your Surron with the stock battery? What if I told you you can do all of this and keep all your stock bike features like any of the sensors, the power mode buttons and the stock display? What if I told you this could be done in 20 minutes with a controller that weighs only 1 kilogram with the ability to run the stock Surron motor at 17 kilowatts? Well, it can be done, and all of the answers are inside of this box, which has been sent to me by Torp Motors. Let's take a look at what we've got inside. Okay, let's get this box open. So first up, we've got which looks like it's going to be the skid plate, which it is. Looking beautiful. Next up, inside of this box, has got to be the controller. So you get the hardware that you're going to need to fit the controller, and the controller itself. This thing is small and compact, but will be an absolute beast on the bike. So that's the back. And we've got the front here where all the connectors are going to go. Top connector is going to go into that part. Then we've got the wiring loom, 4 connectors on the end, and the main connector, which is then going to be plugged into the controller. Then we've got the additional display. Comes with the right Allen key that you're going to need to fit it. And you've also got the egg rider itself. Torp on the front, looking really clean. This is an additional piece which Torp also sent me with the controller. Then lastly, got an instruction leaflet, a quick start guide, then some other features like the Torp app included and everything you're going to need to know about fitting the controller. And then lastly, we've got some Torp stickers, 2 in black, 2 in white. This is going to look really clean on the bike. So that's everything that came in the box. Let's take a look at getting it fitted. So before we get started, let's talk a little bit about who Torp actually is. Torp is a company from out in Croatia who specialise in making components and parts for electric vehicles. They have their own Torp bike which they have released. They also make controllers for the bikes like the Surron and the Segway X260. They've got a new controller coming out, the Torp 1000, which is made specifically for the Surron Ultra Bee, and they also make the Torp TC500 for the Segway and the Surron Light Bee, which is what we're going to be installing today. So before starting to install the TC500, the first thing we've got to do to the bike is drain all the power from the bike. So we're going to go up to the bike, take the key out, open up the battery lid and flick off the breaker switch. With the breaker switch flicked off, we're then going to go and put the key back in the ignition and turn the bike on, and this should drain all of the power out of the bike that is left in it. Once you've seen that your display screen is turned off, you can go ahead, take the key back out, go back into the battery compartment, and I would advise to disconnect the battery when doing this as well. Doing this stops any silly mistakes happening and means you won't get shocked when touching anything to do with the power of the bike. So we're going to go ahead and make a start at taking off the old controller from the bike, but at the same time we're also going to be talking about some of the cool features about the Torp TC500 as we go along. So like mentioned, the Torp TC500 controller weighs only 1 kilogram, whereas the stock Surron controller weighs just under 2 kilograms. The Torp TC500 is a plug and play system, which means it is all made ready to go straight on the Surron, which means you don't need any technical experience with electric vehicles to fit these controllers. So not only is this controller simply a plug and play system, it is a lightweight monster which will convert your Surron into an absolute beast even with the stock battery. So with an upgraded motor and a 72 volt battery, this controller will be able to make your bike run at 25 kilowatts. That is insane. With the stock motor and a 72 volt battery, you can still get up to 17 kilowatts with this controller. With the custom 60 volt battery and the stock motor, you're still going to be able to run at 13.5 kilowatts, which is still a massive increase compared to stock. Or if like me, you don't have an upgraded battery yet and you're still running on the stock battery, with the 38 amp hour battery you can run up to 8.5 kilowatts, which is still nearly double the power of a Surron. Then if you don't have the 38 amp hour battery, if you have the 32, the 34 or the 40 amp hour battery, you can still run the controller on the bike with the stock battery at 7 kilowatts, which is still a massive increase compared to the stock power of the Surron with the stock controller. The Torp TC500 is the only controller that works in tune with the stock Surron battery. It gives you the ability to tune the stock Surron battery through the BMS on the Torp app, which is really user friendly, and I will be going through the app with you when we have got the controller fitted on the bike. Not only can all of this be done with the Torp TC500, but this can all be done whilst keeping all the stock features of the bike. You can still use the standard display, you can still use the standard eco and sport mode, you can still use all of the sensors that come on the bike. However, if you do go ahead and buy the Torp TC500, there is the Torp display available as an added extra. This display will replace the display that comes on the Surron with the eco and the sport mode buttons on, but this display also gives you the ability to change between modes, as well as seeing all of the data live from the bike, such as battery percentage, battery temperature, motor temperature, the list goes on. I'm really happy that Torp sent one of these for me to try as well. Okay, Okay, so we're at the point now where we've got the old controller hanging down from the bike. We've exposed the 3 connectors, which are then going to connect to the new wiring loom provided by Torp. We have got the extra connector here, which is then going to be the new display, which is going on the handlebars. So to get to this stage, there's really not a lot that you've got to remove, and so far it's been a really easy process. Let's get the rest of this controller off and start looking at getting the new one on. So we've now got the stock controller all disconnected from the bike. Really simple process. All the connectors were easy to undo, all the bolts were easy to undo. Now we've got the old controller off, it's time for the exciting part of fitting this amazing Torp TC500 to my Surron. So that is now all the phase cables, the negative and the positive, all connected to the Torp TC500. Next up, we've got to put this wiring harness on, and it is a very important step that when putting in these connectors into the connectors from the bike, it's really important that you hear them click into place, meaning that they are locked in and they won't come unplugged while you're riding the bike. So like I've mentioned, we've got 3 connectors which are going to go to the connectors from the bike, and we've got the extra connector which is then going to be our new Torp display. So because Torp very kindly also sent me the display with the controller, we're going to have to take the ignition plate off and remove the old speedometer with the switch that comes with the stock bike to replace the new Torp screen that we're going to be putting on. So that is now all the controller wired into the bike, new display put on the bike. I guess before we put anything back together, let's stick the battery in, get it all powered on and see if the bike turns on. So we're all connected up, hit the fuse, we've got the battery display turned on, we'll get the key. Now do we have power? We've got the display on, you can see 66 volt, 100% battery, in eco mode, we've got efficiency and trip. And it looks like the rest of the bike is all powered on. So we've got the controller all fitted on the bike, display fitted on the bike, we've plugged in the battery, everything seems to be turning on and working as it should be. So I guess all that's left to do now is throw everything back on the bike. It's just a reverse process of how you took it all apart. So I'm going to throw everything back on the bike and catch up with you again when everything's put back together and we're ready to look at the Torp app. So now we've bolted and tightened up everything that needed to go back on the bike. So that leaves the last thing from Torp to put on the bike is the skid plate that's going to cover up the controller and any of the connectors underneath the bike. Let's throw it on. That is now the skid plate attached to the bike. So now for the really fun bit, let's turn the bike on and get it connected to the app. So now we're on the bike, I've got the app here ready to be opened, but first we're going to turn the bike on, make sure we've got some power on the screen. That's the screen loaded up. So the bike is now powered on. I'm going to go ahead and open up the app. Now the app should automatically connect up to the controller, which by the looks of it has. So this app can be used as a dashboard whilst riding. So if you got a phone holder and you added your phone to the bike, you can then see all of your live data being processed through this app. So this is is just on the first page, and we've got the motor temperature in the top left, the battery temperature in the center, and I'm guessing what would be the controller temperature to the right at the top. Moving on to the second page, we've got a range of different values all listed down the left hand side of the screen, and these are things like voltage, cell voltage, motor current raw, motor current, battery current, power, speed, RPM, motor temperature, controller temperature, battery temperature, and what I'm presuming is watt consumption. Moving on to the third page of the app, this is where you'll find all the information about your battery. So again, we're on 99%, 66 volts, 0.0 on the amps, battery temperature at 23 degrees. We've got a plug symbol which is at 24 degrees, and what I think is the controller is at 24 degrees. It's showing the maximum cell and the minimum cell, and then it is also showing data quality, which is at good. Moving on to the fourth page of the app, and this is where the fun starts. This is where you can start to change and tweak some of the values to do with the bike. So for a start, we're on the eco mode page. I have currently got it set to motor current at the highest, but we can scroll up and down and change this. As you will see, as we change the motor current, the estimated power is also changing. So if we go ahead and put it at 4.5 kilowatt, this is roughly what the stock Surron would be running in sport mode. We can change the battery current as well, which is then going to change the estimated power also. We've also got a slider here for speed, so we can put it right up to infinity. I presume this will be as fast as the bike can go. So you've then got your regen settings, which is showing the throttle release regen and the brake lever regen. And scrolling down, you can choose which battery you've got. So you've got stock bypass, 72 volt, 60 volt, or custom. I'm using the stock battery, so we're going to press OK. Then you've got minimum voltage, maximum voltage, motor temperature cutoff point, kickstand sensor, crash sensor, and mode button. Then lastly, on the final page, we've got some more information like the app version, the Bluetooth name, firmware version, hardware name, serial number, motor type, odometer. We've then got speed units, temperature units, sprocket ratio, wheel diameter, and Bluetooth pass. Then down towards the bottom, we've got scan for Bluetooth, error, update firmware, calibrate the hall sensor, the ride log, measure time, diagnostics, and then you can also reset everything to factory default settings. So that is now everything connected up to the bike, turned on, tuned up with the app. Everything is working how it should be as far as I'm aware. All we need to do now is go and test the bike and give it a ride. But before I do that, I want to turn the bike on, and we're going to show you the difference between the stock controller in eco mode and sport mode on the stand. I'm going to also show you what I've got eco mode set at now on the new Torp display, and then I'm going to show you what sport mode is set at on the new Torp display. Just listen to the difference in this back wheel. So now we're in eco mode on the Torp display. I've got this set to 4.5 kilowatts, which is roughly what the stock Surron will be set at. So hopefully you can hear that that's already what sport mode would have been on the old Surron controller. Now let's put it into sport. Okay, we're in sport mode. I'm going to hit the throttle. That is a different beast altogether. Honestly, you can hear how much more power this bike is now throwing out. I've got sport set at 8.5 kilowatts. That is nearly double a stock Surron. All of this with just the stock Surron battery as well. This is insane. Let's go give it a ride. It is time for the moment of truth. So we're here with the bike. We've come to an ideal riding location to really test out what this Torp controller is capable of making the Surron do. So I'm going to start by doing a few runs up and down this track in eco mode, giving my thoughts on how eco mode handles on the bike and what I've got eco mode set at. Then once we've discussed eco mode and how to go at that, we're going to put the bike in beast mode, also known as sport mode, and we're going to see the power difference that the Torp TC500 has added to the Surron. So without further ado, let's start getting it tested. Okay, so we're sat on the bike is on, the app is all opened up and loaded, ready to roll. So first we're going to go into settings and see what I'm actually running the bike at in eco mode. So looking at these settings here, hopefully you can see this. We're running at 4.5 kilowatts of power with a motor current at 125 amp, battery current at 100 amp, RPM is limited to 30 mile an hour. I'm going to go ahead and turn down the throttle regen to 0 because I don't want any regens while I'm doing this test. I did ride the bike here in eco mode, so I have had a little play, but to keep it fair and so you get an honest reaction of mine, I did ride here really slowly. I kept it really tame. I didn't go into sport mode at all, so we've not felt that 8.5 kilowatts of power yet. But this is going to be the first test of riding the bike with the TC500 in eco mode. Let's put the phone in the pocket. Let's see how the bike feels in eco mode. So for a start, that's full throttle. It is a very gradual build up. We're starting to feel a bit quick now. We are at 28 mile an hour, which is roughly what I restricted the bike at. So when you twist the throttle, you can feel that power being added. And that is basically what the Surron stock would feel at in sport mode with the stock controller. So my honest opinions on the throttle so far is low end, it's really gradual. It's nowhere near as snappy as sport mode would have been. But then once you start getting up, the bike really picks up. And like I say, I have got it limited to a certain speed, so it is only getting to about 30 miles an hour for now. On the next run, we'll take away the speed restrictor so we can see what it will do in just eco mode. So we've got the app back out, and we're going to tweak some of the settings. So RPM before I had restricted to 30 miles an hour. We're going to put that all the way up so it is infinite now. I've also changed the settings here to change the motor current to 125 amps, battery current to 110 amps, and we're still running at the 4.5 kilowatts of power. We've also got the beta version of field weakening on this app, which means I can change the field weakening, and this should give us a higher top speed on the Surron. But for now, I'm going to leave that set at 0 amps. So with all of that changed, we're going to give it another go. See if that's made any difference whatsoever. It should be pushing the same as stock power, still 4.5 kilowatts, but it might feel a bit different because we have messed with some of the other settings. So again, really slow. That's full throttle. That really takes some time to build up, but now we're going, it's not slowing down. We're at 33 miles an hour. So the bike really wanted to just stay at 33 miles an hour there, so no real increase in top speed. Even with it unrestricted, I'm still only getting 33 miles an hour, so I think we need to play with some of the settings in the app again just to really tweak it and get it spot on. So we're going to press the M button on the display. That then has put us into sport mode on the Egg Rider. At the minute, we should be running 8.6 kilowatts, 500 amps on the motor current, which is the maximum, 140 amps, which is also the maximum on the battery current. Infinite RPM. Regen is set to 0, brake lever regen also set to 0, and field weakening is set to 49 amp. I'm yet to feel the power of this. I'm going to be really careful on the throttle because I have no idea what's going to happen. So without further ado, let's just hit it. Oh, okay, straight away the throttle feels way more jerky. Oh my god, trying to keep that front wheel down. We're already at 36, 37, 38. Wow! Oh my god! Oh, I've never felt that the brakes aren't enough on the Surron before, but they're not slowing me down like they should, and that was still only about 37 miles an hour. I couldn't keep the front end down for a start either. That power increase initially is insane. That is absolute insanity. So we're going to go again. So again, we're going to go to the app. I'm going to keep everything maxed out at 8.6 kilowatts, so we're keeping the full power. So we're going to go ahead and change the field weakening, but I'm going to put it to 60 amps this time. So we do get a warning come up that says using the field weakening feature can cause serious damage to the motor magnets. We suggest setting the field weakening current to lower values. We do not recommend revving the motor above 8,000 RPM. You are using this option at your own risk. So we've got to be really careful whilst doing this. I'm guessing they don't want the motor spinning too fast, so we're getting it too hot. Currently we're at 39 degrees Celsius, batteries at 33 and controllers at 24, and we're going to have to be really careful because we have put the field weakening up. So again, we're going to make a start, just being really easy on that throttle. We're already doing 36. Wow, oh my god, Jesus Christ, I'm not even accelerating anymore. What have they done to my Surron? Torp, you guys are animals. You have literally changed this bike. It is insane now. What the hell? I can't get over how much more power this is really throwing out. So again, we're going to do another run right the way back down the end of the track. Let's hit it. Really easy on the throttle again. That's full throttle and it just pulls. Saying 37 miles an hour, 38, 39. Wow, that is absolutely incredible. So we're going to do one final run in sport mode. I'm going to give it a bit more throttle from the get-go this time. We've kept all the settings the same because I don't want to put the field weakening any higher at the minute. I really don't want to go and burn my motor out on the first day of having this controller set up. So all the settings are kept the same. Let's do one last final run. Bit more throttle from the get-go. Whoa, oh my I was trying to keep the wheel down. 36 miles an hour, 37. Wow. And then full brake. Again, the brakes just aren't powerful enough for this bike anymore. I'm really gonna have to upgrade the brakes now I have this much power. That is insanity. Just from the get-go, as soon as you twist the throttle, that's me trying to keep the wheel down. If I go from full throttle from a start, it just wants to jump up. And then we get to the top end, 37 mile an hour, 38. That is incredible speeds. Crazy speeds, and the acceleration and power of this bike is a menace now. Again, trying to keep that front wheel down. That is just pure power. You could not do that on sport mode before on this bike. I'm genuinely shocked. I knew it was going to turn it into a beast, but I really didn't know it was going to make this much difference. It feels like a completely new bike. Again, I am going to have a big play around with all of these settings on the app, find out what's really going down and what changes what. There will be more videos to come on the future on all these things, but the power is just insane. So that is basically all of the tests that I wanted to run on the TC500 completed in this video. So my overall thoughts on this whole experience, from receiving the controller to installing the controller to then running the tests that we've just done with the controller, tweaking the settings and doing some speed runs and seeing what the power change is like. This whole experience has been 10 out of 10, if not 20 out of 10 in my eyes. The installation process of the controller, like I've mentioned in the video, was dead easy. And then even turning on the app, getting the controller connected and running through all of the settings is so easy. I have no experience in any of this whatsoever. If you've been watching the channel for some time, you know that I've been talking about power upgrades for such a long time. I really didn't think that I would be getting a controller upgrade this early. And then even so, once receiving the controller, with the stock battery, I really thought, well, I'm going to end up with a controller that's not going to give the stock battery much more power for a start. So unlike the BAC 4000 or 8000, or like the KO controller, or like the EBMX X9000 controller, you won't really gain any more power with the stock battery. It is only the Torp TC500 that will turn your Surron Light Bee into a monster running this power with a stock battery. So with now everything completed and the controller tested out on my bike, I guess the only thing that's left for me to do is go and ride and enjoy the hell out of this Torp TC500. Before I end the video, I really need to say thank you to Torp Motors for sending me out this controller and display. They have made what was a dream of mine become a reality within literally a few days. So yeah, a massive thank you to Torp Motors for giving me the opportunity of using the controller and the display, for giving me the opportunity of working with them as a brand, and for giving me the opportunity to turn my Surron into an absolute monster. If you're looking at buying a Torp TC500 yourself, or you want to see any of the Torp products, the link will be in the description down below to go ahead and have a look at their website. If you have liked watching this video of turning my Surron into an absolute monster, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel and want to see more on the Surron, especially more with the TC500, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button to see more of my future uploads. Leave your thoughts and comments on this video down below. I would love to hear what you've got to say about the Torp TC500. All that said and done, I'm going to go ride my new monster. I'm Matt Francis, signing out. Peace.